are on a pub crawl and we are taking you along with us.
We promise not to petrify you first.
God, poor Kima.
Anyways. Yeah.
Her name is Jana.
And she's Bal.
And this is episode 13 of Critical Rollback. Campaign 1.
Coming hot off the heels of episode 11. So don't worry. You didn't miss anything. We're just labeling these episodes after the Critical Role episodes and not really chronologically. And episode 12 is nothing.
Episode 12 isn't nothing.
Episode 12 is Matt fucking around with the Snuggle Lord and somebody else and having like a how to D&D tutorial and a very lame adventure.
Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, episode 12 is
nothing.
Episode 12 is nothing. Yeah.
I wanted to mention it at the end of episode 11, but I remember forgetting it. I don't remember anything else for episode 11, to be fair. Like, very, very little, because that's been, so... I
mean, Orion Akaba was a thing, and continues to be a thing.
Yeah, sure. You're already reading the content warnings. We're too early for that.
Alright.
Okay, so, just to catch people up to speed, we are recording this on June 19th.
June 19th? Oh, it's Juneteenth! Right? Yes, it is.
It is Juneteenth. Yes, okay.
Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth to all of our listeners. And...
when we publish this in, like, August.
Yes. That's very... I mean, like, it might actually... We're slowly starting to catch up to the point where, like, we're actually recording and putting up these episodes in relatively short order.
We are absolutely firmly out of the time paradox. The last episode we published was episode 10, which was the second to last episode we recorded. There's a 3-way episode coming up of episode 11 that I can barely remember because both 10 and 11 were recorded in like the big dark hole that were the first 4 months of this year.
The big dark hole that we are still crawling our way out of.
I mean, I'm about to crawl my way back in.
Yeah, you are. Evan, have you received any of those test scores yet?
Not for another month. But I should be starting to study for an oral exam I might be invited to if I manage to pass the written exam this time.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed.
I should have, but
it is...
Thinking about it for too long makes my tummy hurt, so let's not.
Just like
let's not.
EXU. Just makes my tummy hurt.
Yeah, but that's a youth thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much a youth thing. EXU, the Kerfuffle edition, just finished airing this Thursday. I watched it. I enjoyed it. It's not Bal's cup of tea for several reasons.
So many reasons. Multiple reasons.
So many reasons.
Part of it is that every time like a GIF forces its way past my blacklist, I get like petrified by the stare of a certain DM.
Which I understand, but
yeah, he has like the eyes of a basilisk.
Let's just say, yes, which, believe it or not, offers this works very well when he's playing the literal devil.
I mean, I guess so. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah. If you can stand the piercing glare and the general, foregone conclusion of this entire thing, I can recommend it. I enjoyed it, even though I didn't expect to enjoy it. Way more than I thought I would. Sam Riegel, voice of reason, romantic hero. What?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like... Are we going through like a Sam Riegel renaissance? I don't know. I feel like he's like... learned. And I don't want to like hope too much, but it seems like he's learning. I feel like he's becoming self-aware.
I think he's always been self-aware and just the next step was missing. And I also feel like if he hasn't caused anything to upset us lately, it's because he kind of doesn't get to anymore. The characters he plays are very inoffensive in that way, in ways that Galen and not just weren't.
Yeah, and like I do think that like FCG has his like it's a very outdated view on like therapy, but like that's not offensive.
But that's on purpose.
Yes,
It's on purpose and part of the joke. Like, he not only is he a therapist, he's a bad therapist.
Yeah, and it kind of allows you to I mean, like, number one is I'm actually kind of intrigued by what he's doing with FCG. Number two is, like, I find that, like, he's a lot more palatable when he's, like, directing at other characters. You actually get a lot of this in this episode, not to skip ahead, but, like, you get a lot of, like...
Oh, yeah.
Scanlan is the most tolerable when he gets to, like, direct and redirect others' energy, I feel. Like, when he's coming in with his own energy, he's kind of just so much and such an overpowering flavor. But, like, whenever he's, like, redirecting, whenever he's, like, using other people's weight against them, and, like...
Whenever he's being a pest about things that we're on his side about.
Yes.
Then he's fine.
He's a good lightning rod.
That's one way to put it, I suppose.
Yeah. It's a way that I feel like he would be fond of. But he's very good at redirecting other people's energy and more useful stuff. Anyway.
Or not. Anyways. Okay. So, like... Did I add in? I did. Okay, everything's here. Okay, so I suppose... do we have anything else to talk about, to plug, to...
I don't know. Has anything else happened with Critical Role recently? I can't think of any controversies.
Nobody who still works for Critical Role has said anything about the Satine Phoenix situation. Matt has just liked something that said basically that in situations like these, when you weren't a victim, you kind of make way for the victims to talk. Yeah. And don't center yourself, which is both, like, saying a lot and saying a lot more when you know that apparently someone has been doing streams where victims have spoken out about this, but also plugged his album at the same time, which is,
Brian.
Sure?
Brian W. Foster is such a like, he's just...
He's someone who should really stop tweeting, is the thing. Isn't a derisive comment. I've said this about many an online content creator I enjoy. Many people should just not be tweeting.
Yeah, just don't be tweeting. That should be our stance as a podcast, is don't be tweeting. I have Twitter as, like, a necessary evil. I need to, like, have somewhere to put my bad fandom opinions, but, like, I don't enjoy it.
The thing is, we also don't have reach on Twitter.
Yes, that's true.
If you, dear listener, would like to change that, you can find information for our Twitter. Oh god, I can do this thing now. You can find information for our Twitter even if you're on the podcasting apps, in the metadata, which I can't tell you how it's accessible exactly where you're at, but I can assure you that I put timestamps for everything, links to everything, and just a funny blurb into literally the metadata of every single podcast episode, which is very easily accessible on the YouTube version with the box down there that somebody else, I don't like to quote, calls the doobly-doo, but it's very, like, which is a very good term for it.
Doobly-doo.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about calling it the nether regions, but nah. So, on YouTube you can access this easily. On the podcasting apps, the Spotifys, the iTunes, the Google Podcasts, if they ever accept us back or whatever. It should be there. It's all in the RSS feed, which are black magic and nobody should podcast. My god, I have been contacting so many support people for things just randomly being wrong with an RSS feed.
Oh my god.
It just, yeah.
Why do we have so many problems with everything except Apple Podcasts of all things?
Yeah, iTunes was a bitch to get onto, but has been completely complacent ever since. Spotify has been easy to get onto, and has just randomly kicked or rejected us twice by now. Both times for reasons that were kind of out of my control, and over issues that were only issues for Spotify. And now Google has decided that we no longer have an RSS feed, and I can't tell it we do have an RSS feed, and I didn't change a thing, and it's a mess, but nobody was listening to Google Podcasts anyway, so...
Yeah. There we have, like, one Google Podcast listener who's just tuned off an Anchor.
Or something. We have a couple of regulars in Spotify, like, I think the Austrian one is just Lulafia listening in.
Hi, Lulafia.
Hi, Lulafia. We have a surprising amount of listeners from Poland, of all places, which, like...
What?
Cool. Hi. Been there.
Rad.
Got ancestry from there. Sort of. It's complicated. Like it is. Yeah, like, just a surprising amount of listens from Poland every time I check out the demographics. Like, of course, US and UK are there, but we're doing this in English for an English property, so, you know.
Hi, Polish listeners. We love you.
Dzień dobry? It's like one of the 5 words of Polish I can still speak.
I would be terrible at parasocial relationships just because, like, I'm basically a golden retriever. Where it's just, hi, I love you. How are you doing?
Unlike me, I just rant at people. If you come at me, I'm going to start to rant about fandom stuff at you.
Yes.
Yes.
You're like a border collie. You come at people hard, and you know.
I also do herd.
You do.
I do herd people together and, like, prevent them from straying off and just...
And drowning.
I have a bit of a... I have a bit of a herding instinct. I'm not that good of a swimmer, actually. And from that on, straight on to thanks to our patrons, all 3 of them.
Hi, patrons.
Hi, all 3 of you. You're great. You're still here for some reason, even though our updating schedule is whatever.
Yeah, I've got like a whole fucking huge backlog of outtakes that I keep forgetting to send you.
Yeah, that. But we do have those. We will be having those eventually. If you would like to become a patron, the info is also available on the Twitter, the Tumblr, every metadata, and the YouTube video. YouTube, by the way, has been the least fickle and most easy-to-use publishing platform, and I think the one that's working out most for us. Yes. Something else you will find on our Patreon, hopefully kind of soonish in the next 2 months, is our giant-ass 4-hour-long Big Daddy taking the Legend of Vox Machina to town kind of bit, where we watched the entire cartoon again, analyzed it on the spot together, and then had a 4-hour session that lasted until like 6 a.m. for me. Yeah,
it lasted until my phone died.
Your phone died in the middle of it, and then we revived it and it went for another hour.
Yes. So yeah, hopefully
I cleaned up my apartment at 5 a.m. for reasons.
Yeah.
Hi, Kay.
Hopefully that will come out sometime around our birthday. We have a mostly shared birthday, if you didn't know this.
Yeah, we share a birthday for like 9 hours or something.
Yeah. It's a fun little feature.
We've gone over this in like episode 3.
I thought we went over this in episode 0, so I guess we went over this a while ago. Yeah, because we've been...
In episode 3,
oh,
because
God.
that one had like delayed recording, but this was also before the time paradox, so this was very long ago. I mean, it was right after our shared birthdays, which are coming up in 2 months again, so...
Yeah, it's occurring to me that we've almost been recording for a year, and like, not that many episodes to show for it, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been sidetracked and we had to delay, like, production because legal wouldn't get back to us. Still hasn't.
Still hasn't. This is an illegal podcast. Anyway, shall we go into spoiler warnings?
Right, I wanted to include this
sorry, go ahead.
because the new legal update for Critical Role was like, this is not affiliated or even legalized by Critical Role at all.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure the title is derivative enough that they shouldn't be able to take us down. Not to tempt fate, and also knock on wood. Like, we're not really... Like, they don't know we exist.
They do not know we exist. We are still below the surface, and if they want to take us down, that's fine. We'll just recall ourselves Critical Reroll, and somehow that'll be better.
Sure, we'll figure something out. We'll weasel out of this somehow.
That broadcast
we
will
tried
continue.
to contact the legal team before we published. They left us on read or even unread for 6 weeks or so. And we've been happening ever since. So, like, we hopefully are going to be able to stay under their radar.
Yes, we're just a little tadpole in the elder brain pool of Critical Role.
We're not really selling you anything.
Yeah.
That's derivative of them. It's not really... We don't really violate any of the terms and conditions.
Not yet.
We're not printing their logos onto Redbubble shirts and selling them under our own name.
Not until I come up with like a t-shirt design that's just like a very badly drawn Percy Girolo with a little gun, and it's like just has pew pew on it, and it's...
That's still not using official trademarks, that's just your fan art.
That's true.
Well, so, like, comment, subscribe, share, fave, pass us around, yell at people about our existence that aren't Critical Role cast or crew.
But first we have to earn our money.
Preferably.
Let's earn that. Let's earn our $10.
Yeah. And other than that, we are a well-oiled machine who hasn't done a regular episode in 4 months? 3 months? 3 months, I think.
More or less.
We're gonna get into it now. Yay. Content warnings. We have content warnings.
Hello, dear listeners. I hope you're very much enjoying the episode, and thank you for joining me in my new recording setup, which will hopefully be just as good as the last, if not better. I did have to turn off the fan to do this, so let's go through these content warnings as fast as possible. These are content and spoiler warnings for episode 13 of both Critical Role and Critical Role Back. So, let's begin. This episode has instances of loss of agency in regards to being absorbed by the hive mind, but also being absorbed by the hive mind, so use your discretion. There's also body horror in the style of brain slurping and also brain stomping. Be conscious of that. Haha, conscious. There's also a throwaway joke about sexual assault and discussions of cannibalism and being an omnivore. As for the spoiler warnings for this episode, we do talk a little bit about Campaign 3, just very small mentions, and I do believe Jana discusses EXU Calamity, though very, very lightly, so we do have very light spoilers in that regard, but that's all I can think of. And additionally, Ryan Akawa is going to be here for 14 more episodes, but it's only technically 12 more episodes because he's not in 2 of them. So technically, we're over the hill of the halfway mark. So only 12 more episodes to go. We got this. Thank you very much for joining me for the content warnings and enjoy the rest of the episode. Bye!
Out of those 14 more episodes, he won't be at the table for 12 of them, which means that after this episode, we're technically over the hill. We have made it through half of the Orion content already.
Yay!
We are going to leave the Underdark behind us this episode, and we are halfway done with Orion. Woo!
Yay!
And now, 40 minutes into recording and 20 minutes into the episode, we are getting to talking about the actual Critical Role episode, which is an excellent quota.
It is. Good for us. Okay.
Listen to her. She's so excited to be here.
Out of Game Tidbits.
Out of Game Tidbits. So the episode first aired on June 4th in 2015, which means that it now has been 7 years. And we are now recording in days after them again, which, wow, time sure is passing, huh?
It sure is passing. But yeah, we just crested over the hill of 7 years.
I mean, that's been a while ago. I did promo tweets about it.
Yeah, but this was recorded on June 4th, and now is June 19th.
Yeah.
So about 2 weeks ago.
Right, yes.
The intros, even though they said that they won't do them in the first part of the episode, guess what? They're doing them in the first part of the episode.
They're still happening. They're also in the middle of the episode, and in this episode in particular, they are unblurred. So if you want to see the official and also occasionally stolen art,
if you want to see the explicit
editing, what?
If you want to see the explicit version, XXX, not for broadcast.
You joke, but some of the art in the Scanlan section is teetering the line.
It's a little titillating, if you will.
A little, just a little. Yeah, so those are still a thing, and it's just... They are so utterly pointless, because every single point that's made during these intros is either going to be elaborated upon in the story anyways, or something none of the characters are even going to know about each other. And instead they could have just, like, recalled the things they did in the little, illustrated story of Vox Machina so far thing, which recapped the plot up until we meet them, which would have been a lot more useful, but hey.
Yeah. I will say, I think it's really interesting that, like, it's kind of one of those things where, imagine if they had one of these things for, say, Campaign 2 or Campaign 3 characters, how fascinating that would be. Because, like, the Campaign 1, like, Vox Machina is an interesting party, but it's also a party where I feel like they really capture the energy of, like, this is the most interesting time of their lives.
True, yes. Whereas with, like, the Mighty Nine, I'm going to assume the most interesting time of their life is going to be after the campaign.
After the campaign or before the campaign. Most of the time after the campaign.
Before the campaign for some of them, yes.
Yes. Which is why there's, like, comic books and graphic novels and things like that to explain it. But it's very interesting that, like, in a sense, Vox Machina is the party that needs these introductions the least. Because, like, sure, they have backstories, and those backstories are interesting. But ultimately, like, the most interesting thing that happens to them is right now.
Or was the things that directly led to the current situation, none of which were covered in the backstories or the opening videos there.
Yes. So it's really interesting to watch these things and kind of feel how superfluous they are. I'm just glad I got to use the word superfluous.
Yay! Got your daily SAT word in.
Alright. Yeah.
Right.
Matt's tentacle kitty shirt.
Matt is wearing a tentacle kitty shirt, which is very fitting for this episode.
So fitting for this episode.
Then Orion plugs somebody on Redbubble, which was a thing we still did in 2015, apparently.
Yeah, we've got some Redbubble promotions, which sure are a thing. With today's...
They sure are a thing.
Yes. I'm pretty sure that's where Travis got his Enjoy the Taste of Grog t-shirt.
Yes, he did. Even though it looks like it was merchandise from a very different company. Marisha has a lovely hairdo this episode. She has like a wraparound kind of braid thing. I like that.
I didn't really notice it. I have to go back and look at it. I guess I wasn't really paying attention to the visuals on screen this time.
Good, because Matt's camera moves a lot and it's kind of crazy. And I know you react sensitively to that.
I know, I'm so reactive to Matt, like, moving around. I mean, like, it is like, shocking, isn't it, whenever the camera moves on Matt? It's like, no, that doesn't happen. Matt moves on camera.
A little, maybe. This episode, Matt's camera kind of tilts backwards and almost falls over.
Oh, no.
And we see, like, the edge of the set, and it's very scary. But also, apparently this is not someone's bedroom, which is reassuring.
So reassuring that it's not actually someone's bedroom. Laura has a trinket hand puppet, which is very cute. They kind of got, like, this is, in a sense, one of their first, like, Christmas things. Like, it's not really, but they started to get gifts. Past episode, yes. And in this episode, they also get, like, little fun things.
Did you watch that far? Because I kind of stopped when they started reading out donations.
I kind of stopped during the donations, too.
Yeah, so there's a little tiny Christmas afterwards. They don't do that anymore because it's probably, there's just no way they could capture all of that. And maybe they don't want to open everything on camera anymore, for reasons.
Oh, yeah. I bet they also probably at some point started to feel uncomfortable with, like, the amount of stuff that they're just being given. Because, like...
Yeah, and opening it on stream would just incentivize people to send them more when they could just spend their money and energy on doing anything else.
Yeah, which is sort of like where the Critical Role Foundation kind of came into play of like, hey, you love us? Channel that into something more positive.
You love us and you have a lot of disposable income, of which you've given us 11 million that one time. How about you redirect that elsewhere?
Yeah, I personally think is like one of their best decisions these last couple of years is like setting that up. I think that's like a really positive impact that they've had, and it's probably going to outlive the show. It's like the goodwill that they've earned from that.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. You've written here, don't slobber on the merch, Orion,
yes. They give away like a signed shirt and some player's handbooks and something, and Orion kind of starts making out with that and then offers to have Sam fire on it.
The only time that I was fond of them touching the merch so much is that time that somebody won a t-shirt on Vox Machina and they had Taliesin roll around in it, which I feel feels very lucky, you know?
I understand that.
Yeah. Like, if Taliesin Jaffe rolls around in something that you get like a little bit of his luck rubs off on you.
Yeah. I think his luck was kind of stolen when the golden snitch was stolen from Matt's car.
I feel like he still has like a little bit of luck. I think it's just not, luck. It's just regular old Towson magic, where he's just able to do things.
Yeah. Alright, I think that's it with the out-of-game tidbits. So, where are we at?
Well, last episode we fought Kavarn. Well, some of us fought Kavarn. Some of Vox Machina fought Kavarn.
Do you mean Rafk?
Rafk, yeah. Narv.
Oh. That's the upside of us just having very recently published episode 10. We remember our jokes then. Not from episode 11, because that was ages ago, but we did listen to episode 10 very recently, so we know what we said there.
Oh yeah, we do remember our jokes, which you'll know because we we'd probably publish this episode with a little musical segment. But yes, we just fought Kavarn, which is to say, the party fought Kavarn. Grog died in the middle. He was revived.
Tiberius, ran for Congress in the B-plot or something.
Yes. He tried to free the elephant hive mind, which is a good idea. Something that only good things can come from. And
only good things.
After one successful killing of Kavarn by Laura...
Vex?
Yeah, Vex. I was going to say Laura Harp Music Bailey, but yes, by Vex. And... a second one by Orion from I want to say Tiberius, but let's be honest, it was Orion.
Yeah, he yanked off the horn with telekinesis, where the horn still is right now.
Floating. And that's sort of where we stopped. We stopped kind of very suddenly in the middle.
Yeah, Kima got petrified during that fight. Grog died, but everyone else is fine. I mean, Grog was also fine.
Grog died, but he's fine.
No. He died, he's fine, but he is also being sucked into the wall at the moment. Don't worry about it.
It's not ideal. And that's more or less just everything that happened last episode, right? I mean, they also dropped,
pretty much
a giant on Kavarn, but, this is the important stuff.
Yeah, if you want to play by play of the fighting, just listen to the last episode.
That's true.
I think we did a good job. And also, I feel like the fighting they did last episode was actually pretty good. We were surprised by how good their tactics were. And how, that's the reason why it went over mostly okay.
Which is, a big contrast compared to this episode. Which is a bit of a shit show.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we have, two very disparate pieces of episode here. We start off with Orion being immediately, the protagonist has arrived. Nobody else say anything else for 5 minutes.
Yeah, the protagonist has arrived on scene.
Because I suppose he got some feedback on and off Twitter, and would like to make it clear that he did the right thing, and without him, the plot couldn't have commenced.
Yeah. There's something, very particular about the way that he does it, too, which is that, it doesn't just feel like... It kind of reminds me of a much more severe thing of something that Liam does sometimes. Sometimes this is a pet peeve of mine. Liam does this, it's much less offensive when Liam does it, but sometimes, especially when he was playing Caleb, he would do this thing where somebody would make a joke at his expense, and he would just have to make it tragic. No matter what, it just has to be tragic. There's just an impulse to quash that joke immediately and focus on how sad the circumstances are.
And make you feel bad about wanting to joke about him in the first place.
Yeah, and it's this kind of knee-jerk reaction to not having your character perceived in any way other than the mode that you imagine them in. And I think that this is it's not a very writerly instinct, I will say, or I guess it is a very writerly instinct, depending on what writer you are. But
yeah, depending on the kind of writer.
But it kind of it reminds me of oh, you really need to go to an improv workshop, because sometimes you just need to go with the flow a little bit and recognize that your character is going to be perceived in ways other than you intended, and that's part of the joys of roleplay. It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah, also what Orion does here is that the second, he pretends what he did was reasonable, but the second somebody questions him, he either starts yelling or silencing them with a spell, and instead of explaining what he did in his words, which, if people just were better at explaining what they did with their words, first of all, I think they might realize that what they did wasn't reasonable, and second of all, this wouldn't be as abrasive. If there was any justification for what Orion did there, in character or out of it, he could have just said that instead of yelling and wasting spell slots on Scanlan.
Yes, this is true of both people and fascist governments, where like if you're critiquing someone and their immediate response is to yell at you and silence you rather than taking the criticisms or considering you might be in a fascist regime.
Sure, yes, that.
But also it's the matter of like it's just obnoxious. It's just
Or you might have very abusive parents.
And like the thing is that I think it's very important to me to indicate is like it's okay for you to act unreasonably as your character. Like,
but don't pretend everyone else is stupid and or mean to you for pointing that out.
No, you have to go with it. Like Percy does a lot of unreasonable stuff, and sometimes even Scanlan does it correctly, where he does unreasonable stuff, and then like that's part of the role play is like acknowledging that it's unreasonable and like having character conflict derive from that. Unreasonable role play is not a bad idea. It's just as the matter is like, are you willing to actually like acknowledge that it's unreasonable or not? And it's very clear that Orion is extremely defensive about Tiberius being perceived in any way other than hero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Orion is really bad at understanding that his character could be anything less but the protagonist.
Yes, and
yes. Speaking of unreasonable character conflict, that actually sort of is okay. They're having this little pause between fights here, which is another time for Keyleth to go like, no, we don't want to unstone Kima right now. She wants the horn and I don't trust her.
Yeah, which is so silly just because, like, it just occurred to me that, like, they're actually doing quite poorly, like, in this battle that is to come. They do quite poorly and have to run away. And, like, I was thinking, like, man, you know what they could use right now? A paladin.
I don't really know if Kima would have, like, made the situation notably better. This was always supposed to be a run scenario. There was nothing left for them here.
It was always going to be a run scenario.
Kima was just another body to get out of there.
But it probably would have been a lot easier to get through the run scenario without having to, like, lug around to stone Kima.
Oh, does Kima have the paladin aura that makes it easier to pass saving throws? I have that.
I don't really remember. But, like, either way, it's like...
I think she should have that, which means having her unstoned would have made it easier for Pike to break out of the brainstun later on. And Grog to break out of the wall at the time.
That would have been nice.
No, you're actually completely correct. Having the paladin in a way that has her enact her auras would have actually made this combat a lot easier.
Yeah, and, like, even if she didn't have that, and even if, like, her entire role through this entire combat was just to, like, run away and do nothing else... It still would have been way more handy. Because, like, at least they wouldn't have had to, have Grog lug her around the entire combat.
It also just would have been the more decent thing to do, in general.
Yeah. This also is something that we'll talk about is towards the end of the episode, but, like, they're weirdly gaslighty about it.
Yeah, I don't believe in alignments for anyone who isn't, like, a cleric or paladin, and I don't believe in docking points for alignments, but what they do with Kima in this episode...
Not great. No, great. And, like, in this one, like, as soon as he's done, like, in the little break, they basically talk about, like, hey, maybe we could just, like, hide the horn and tell her, or, like, destroy the horn and say that we lost it somehow. Which feels, kind of antithetical to her whole paladin quest.
Yeah. But anyways, we'll get there when we get there. For now, we are having a reality check walking in. As in, the illicit.
Yeah.
Have noticed that people are in their big temple and now want,
And
kind of want them out there, or slurping them, or like, as Christine informed us, like roughly half the party can become illicit. The other half is the one that gets their brains slurped out as a snack.
Which actually makes sense for this one, because, like, the people who end up getting their brains slurped on the most are the gnomes.
Yeah, that's what I noticed.
Yeah, so it does actually make sense. Good job, Matt.
And Christine for telling us about this. And,
thanks, Christine.
Us for remembering.
But yeah, Kuroda walks in, and Kuroda is a happy camper. He's the happiest camper he's ever been, which is a terrible sign.
He's smiling through his noodles, goes to be embraced by his brethren, takes off his Magneto helmet, and then ceases to be a person happily. Oh, the notes are going wild. An anonymous chipmunk is trying to do something.
I'm trying to add a picture.
Vindication for Travis Willingham, yes.
Yes. So Kuroda ceases to be a person.
Yes, as was his original plan the entire time. He never promised them anything.
He really didn't. And, like, it's very clear now in retrospect, like, the things that he says when he's, like, losing his personhood is basically just, like, you've served your purpose, and now you get to, serve the grand purpose of the hive mind, which is to be eaten.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes it clear how much, like, he doesn't even consider this to be a necessarily, like, bad thing that's happening to them. It's a sort of, like, you know, you have, like, a pig, and you raise the pig up from a piglet, and you feed the pig, and then eventually you slaughter the pig. No hard feelings about the pig. It just is what you do.
Is this going to be... Are you going to get into your theory that eating a pig is the most ethical animal to eat? Because if you would ask a pig, it would say, sure, you can eat me, I'm gonna eat you, I'm gonna eat other pigs, I'm gonna eat everything. Why wouldn't you?
I wasn't going to, but yeah. I guess we do need
as a Jewish person told me, which makes this doubly hilarious.
The thing is that I don't eat kosher, but I also don't eat ham, just because I don't like the taste very much. But yes, I do think that it is the most ethical meat to eat, just because, like, yeah, I think they'd be fine.
Meanwhile, my mom is texting me about her exes, which, like, thanks for that.
Well, we are talking about pigs. But yes, we needed to get our cannibalism quota in for the episode.
God, that's how we do it.
So, alright, goes to the angry growling place, which is almost as bad as the yelling place, but not quite. And Travis is the most vindicated person who has ever been vindicated ever.
Oh yeah. Travis proudly shows us his legal pad with, like, I don't trust Clarota on it.
Yeah, it's like exactly what you'd have, like, in a horror movie when you find, like, somebody's like you know, their diary that dictates the last days of their life, and it's like you turn to the last page and it says, I don't trust Clarota.
And good on him, he was correct.
It was so correct. Not that he let it affect his decision-making at all, but I do understand that because, like, why would Grog not trust Clarota? Grog is a sweetheart, and loves violence.
Because Clarota spilled his ale.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, that's when he decided to hate Clarota.
In character. Out of character, the top table was always more on Kima's side than on Clarota's. The bottom table, not so much.
Not so much. Anyway, you've written here that every interaction Ryan has with Laura just makes your blood boil.
There's several this episode that make me be like,
yeah.
He just gets...
He's such a smug asshole.
That's not it, even. That's not even it. Like, twice this episode, he gets, let's say, excited over Vex doing smart things like attacking the Elder Brain and dealing massive damage. And if you know, you know.
It's bad. I don't like it.
And if you don't, never you fear, we're going to get there. We're going to combine episodes 26 and 27, so we'll have to have the least amount of time to talk about this. We'll only go to this once very quickly later.
Yes.
Keyleth is an Earth Elemental, meaning everything she had to say about Kima would have been in Primordial.
Yes, it's true. Which would have made it
She also has a knee up in the pants she wore to the first dancing thing, I think. The harem pants. Which is also a precursor to the bow purge we see her do later.
Yeah, I really love the progression of the bow purge of, like, campaign 1 has, like, a lot of it does have some Marisha climbing on top of things, but it's more like Marisha climbing on top of people. It's a lot of cuddling. It's a lot of sitting in laps, and the occasional, like, knee up. And then you have, like, the bow perch.
And the occasional falling off the bench.
But, like, you can see her, like a fledgling bird, she is slowly climbing up. And then you get to the bow perch with just, like, the most acrobatic-looking crouch you've ever seen in your life. She looks like she's about to, like, kick someone in the jaw.
God. There's this AMV, sort of. It's not an AMV because nothing is animated in it, but there's, like, the song is called All In Together, and one of the lyrics is Climb on Top. And in the one about Vox Machina, well, no, not Vox Machina, Critical Role, Climb on Top just has a montage of Marisha climbing on top of a chair.
Oh god, we might have to link that in the show notes.
If I find it, I will.
Yes.
Roar like a monster. It's so cute.
It's so cute.
And the song is also just kind of great to listen to.
Yeah, and now we have campaign 3 Marisha, who is just, like, crawling on top of the table and, like, turning her head at 360 degrees.
She's just writhing on the table.
Yeah, she's just having the full Exorcist experience.
She sure is.
Yeah.
She's also, in this case, really into taking, like, she tries to take down the structure some more. takes damage in return and is like, I like it.
Both she and Grog are very sadomasochistic in this particular situation.
Yeah, but then everything stops dead because we get to Tiberius's turn, who is trying to steal items to do 2 concentration spells at once, because clearly he has to keep the horn up with telekinesis and fly everyone out of there, instead of putting the horn down somewhere, which they do in like a later turn. And everything just grinds to a halt, so much so that, I think he also tries to just crush the horn of a god with a telekinesis spell, which is a level 5 spell.
Yes, which he somehow still has, despite using like a bajillion times. It's very much clear how he didn't participate in the combat last session, because like he still has a fuck ton of spell slots. Possibly too many.
Let's just be glad nobody tracked the whole silence counterspell thing he did to Scanlan, because he would have lost a few there.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, it's not like these rules apply to Orion anyways. He also mentions having 3 sorcery points left some point in the episode, and it's like, I spent them all, and it's like, on what, why, how, my dude, my guy? Have you looked into the player's handbook? Or is it just the monster manual about vampires?
I imagine it's just like he opens like the player's handbook and it's just this loose page that says I can do what I want. You are the main character.
Literally it. Spell slots and sorcery points just exist so I can do whatever I want. And whenever somebody reminds me that concentration is a thing, that is horrible and oppressing me personally.
Yes. So somehow there's still...
It's this entire interaction.
For the first time, I think, Liam, this is all taking 6 seconds, by the way.
Yes. Is this the only time this is going to be topped is when Marisha is going to be like, I knitted a sweater during one of Tiberius's turns later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Percy shoots the brain, and then it's Claroda's turn.
They're trying very hard to cajole him to...
Not to be a dick.
Which again, the problem isn't that he's being a dick. Problem is that there's no Claroda anymore.
I actually am not sure about that, given the later events of this episode.
Oh, because he tries to...
No, the thing is that the Elder Brain and the hive-minded host only comes, like, online later on, and it's like an event, so it could be that Claroda still has free will at this point in time.
Yeah, you're right, I guess it is kind of like a grey area.
In contrast to what Christine told us.
I kind of took it to mean, like, I do think that he's kind of, like, as soon as he's accepted, you know how, like, okay, I think of it as, like, and this is entirely non-founded on any evidence in the episode, this is just my theory, this is just my brain theory. You know how, like, when you play a video game, there's, like, local multiplayer, and there's mass multiplayer?
Yeah.
I feel like he's in local multiplayer now, like, multiplayer. I feel like he's in, like, the local system of just, like, he's in the hive mind with the people around him. But, like, when the hive mind turns back on, then that's like, oh, now we're on, like, the mass mode. Like, he's now playing a Memorpaga.
Memorpaga?
I don't know, that's how I've always pronounced MMORPG.
Memorpaga.
I don't know.
It sounds like a city in Discworld.
It sure does. But yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. I also think it might just be like, okay, the cool kids finally talk to you, and you just have to do what they say. This is basically what the other illiths are doing with him is like singing Candy Store right now.
So, honey, what you waiting for?
And if he wants to step into that candy store, he has to make out with Scanlan.
Yeah, because
either or.
If you split your head right down the middle, you'd make two perfectly symmetrical shapes, whatever that line is. It just seems very relevant right now.
Sure.
But yes, I agree. And also, like, I do think that so my point is that I think that, like, I do think Claroda's still a person right now, until at least the hive mind turns back on, but I do think he's, like, very much influenced by other people, and if we want to discuss, like, the gray area of whether that is, like, a social influence or a hive mind influence, it's kind of hard to tell. We are not in the mind of Claroda, but...
Yeah.
Up to interpretation.
So either or. The thing is, Claroda was never really on their side to begin with. He never told them any lies, he never made them any promises. This has been, like, you could see this coming.
Yes.
And Kima told them so.
Yeah, this is the equivalent of, like, having an advisor just, like, slinking around in the background with a knife, like, you know, like the Like the Sun One videos?
It's kind of the equivalent to hiring a dude called Wormtongue to be your chief advisor, yes.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about the Sun One.
Oh, yeah.
The Pro ZD.
This world is imperfect.
Yeah.
That's not Vegeta. Vegeta was somebody else. Lysandroth.
Lysandroth. Yeah, that's him. It's like the character that's so obviously going to betray you.
Yep, that you're just like, yeah. What a twist.
Yes.
Anyways.
Okay. Kurgan decides to make out with Scanlan. And
shit taste, but fine.
Frankly, he does make out with the back of his head, so maybe he didn't have the best sense of directions, but I don't know. Maybe he was trying to get into that like, those healing jams.
Yeah, he wanted to get some sexual healing, huh?
You've written here a note about Sam's black hoodie making him look like Kermit the Frog with the hoodie. With the hood?
Yes, you know the whole shady Kermit the Frog kind of thing?
Uh-huh.
And Sam just kind of... He's also wearing a green shirt, and when he puts his own black hoodie up, it's like, I just was reminded, okay?
No, it's a good... I think that it's a very good... Like, I agree completely.
Cool. Also, my next favorite bit is that when Vex stabs the Elder Brain, Travis is like, can you scream lobotomy while you do it? Because, like... This episode is full of Travis just having the funniest asides.
It is, and it also makes me think of the most niche pull, which is it Cidrate Lobotomy? It's from Repo, the genetic opera.
I have literally no idea what you're talking about.
It's like a very campy horror movie musical with like a lot of like corn syrup blood that was made in like the 2000s.
Ew.
And it has a song of it's Cidrate Anatomy. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Never mind.
Well, yeah. When I hear the word lobotomy, I think of both the movie Sucker Punch, which I have very complicated feelings about, and also the Green Day song.
Yeah.
I pray for the lobotomy. Dun dun dun. Christian sang the eulogy. Da 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 da. I never really learned the lyrics to that album, but I did see them perform it live.
Yeah. You can tell that we are the children of 2007 through 2011 because, like, I mentioned Repo the Genetic Opera, and now we're talking about Green Day. So...
Yeah.
Our emo phase has never really ended.
No. Also, your taste of music is set in stone when you're 13 and you don't develop after that.
Yeah, people ask me sometimes what I think is, like, the best, like, Fall Out Boy song and what is the worst Fall Out Boy song. And, like, the thing is, I have no idea. Like, I don't know.
What are you in the mood for? How much slut-shaming can you tolerate?
Yeah, and also, like... You don't understand, I listened to these when I was 13. Like, they're embedded on the inside of my brain. You can't ask me to tell you, like, to rate them on a rational scale. Like, I'm listening to them with my heart. I'm not listening to them with my brain.
I mean, I suppose, like, okay, my favorite Fall Out Boy song is Grand Theft Autumn, but only when sung by a lesbian.
Ah, that's a good choice. I like Grand Theft Autumn because it's like such a ballsy song to put out like when you're just starting out as a band.
So bratty. No. The most ballsy song was on their second album. I slept with someone from Fall Out Boy and made this, and all I got was a song or something. Because if somebody slept with someone on Fall Out Boy before Under the Cork Tree came out, they did not sleep with you because you were on Fall Out Boy. Trust me on that one.
No, they didn't. They slept with you because you were from Chicago. We love Fall Out Boy. We love the Dunko.
Kind of don't.
We kind of hate them, and we love them, and we hate them, and we love them.
Yeah. Also, like, I think the easiest, lowest common denominator favorite Fall Out Boy song is still just Sugar We're Going Down. Because, like, name one Fall Out Boy song that's more fun to sing along to.
Sorry.
I've been dying to tell you anything you wanna hear, 'cause that's just who I am this week. Yeah, it's... Okay.
Okay. We'll leave that for the intermission.
Sure. So much singing in this episode, and we haven't even gone to the main event.
So Pike also then gets her brain slurped, which as Chris, like... Yep. Why the gnome hate, which I think Marisha says, right?
No, Pike says why the gnome hate, and the Marisha is like, because it's a delicacy.
Oh, right. And Christine already answered that for us, which is that...
Yes! As we have also gone over in this episode already. There's like a reason for this.
Mm-hmm. So, yay.
Yeah, and then Liam is like, this is for all the people who said Matt went easy on us last game. Which...
no, he didn't.
He did not. It's just that for fighting the Beholder, they actually had a plan that worked out pretty well, and they actually, like, they did smart combat last episode, and Matt rewarded them for it, in a way, by just not making the fight harder on them than it had to be.
Yeah, and then he nerfed, he nerfed Percy, because, like, dang.
Yeah. Yeah, right. He nerfed Percy after that, because wow,
Yeah. So, like, you know, he basically, like... They fought really well, and it made them less... It meant that only one person died out of the many times that people have fallen unconscious. But it wasn't an easy fight.
For a boss fight.
It wasn't an easy fight, and also he then immediately took away their ability to do that exact same thing over and over again. So it meant that they couldn't just spam the same strategy, which I think is honestly pretty smart.
Yeah.
I think it's a good compromise.
I mean, to be fair, they also used the environment very smart when it came to the Narf fight. Fine, Narf, grr. They just had smart ideas about using the environment and then abused Percy's slightly broken abilities. Which was their prerogative.
Mm-hmm.
There's one bit where Matt knocks over Vax's mini and Laura is like, oh, my brother just died. Which,
oops.
Insert your sad trombone here. Wah, wah, wah.
He'll die when he's allowed to die.
Yes, and then I think and then Vex casts Hunter's Mark that Matt accidentally places on Scanlan, so Taliesin has to correct him. No, it's not on Scanlan, it's on the one attacking Scanlan. And then everyone is like, ah! It's a stressful situation.
It's friendly fire.
Not even, just Matt confusing two things for each other. What do you
think would have happened if Scanlan had died in this combat? Do you think they would have revived him?
Sure.
I mean, I don't know if they have the spell slots.
Pike still has a spell slot for that, I think. She has like a 3-level spell slot to heal herself later on, I'm pretty sure.
So he would have just hit on her even harder.
Yeah, or left the party earlier, who knows? Well, no, not at this point, no. You know, also could have maybe cast a Revivify spell.
Ryan?
No.
Oh,
Kima! Though to be fair, if Pike had the 5th level spell to get her unpetrified, she also had the spell slot to revive Scanlan herself, so whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Read out the line after this, please.
Now sorry, you just highlighted it. Now he does feast as he's become the beast.
Yes. Does this mean anything to you?
Sorry, I have a line on the prompter. There we go.
Do you know where this quote is from?
Now he has feast as he's become the beast. I mean, I can guess, but I don't think so.
Okay, everyone, if you know where this line is from, slightly changed, write it in the comments somewhere. Tweet it at us. Do a thing. I did a thing.
Is it Dragon Ball Z abridged?
No.
Oh, that was my safe guess.
Why?
I don't know. It just feels like a Dragon Ball Z abridged line.
Huh. Interesting. I'll tell you after the episode.
Okay. Tell me after the episode.
Yes, Top Table gets vindication for not trusting Clarota. We've been over this before. They just didn't. They read the quest note.
Yes. Keyleth causes a brain leak.
By building up the structure the Elder Brain is in?
Yes. They do a lot of things to this poor brain. I feel bad for the not even in the sense of, I don't support the hive mind in any way, but, boy, do they just do some embarrassing things to that brain. At some point they talk about...
They just beat it up. They just beat up a brain.
Yeah, they do beat it up, but at some point they talk about, stepping on it and stomping on it like you would make wine.
They do? I just remember Liam being like, I step on this person. Something.
No, they talk about stepping, I don't know if they actually do this, but they do talk about making wine. They do talk about, getting on top of the brain and stomping as though they are crushing grapes.
I mean, whatever. Evil brain is evil.
Yes. Orion does not get the horn, but Taliesin does, or rather Percy does.
Yeah. Yeah, they have in this case, actually, Taliesin, I wrote this out of character on purpose, because they have this little physical horn. they pass around.
Right.
And when Orion takes the horn, he doesn't get it, but when the horn goes on the carpet with Percy, Taliesin gets the horn.
Yay! Who blows everyone again?
Orion.
Orion blows everyone.
Orion says he blows everything. Then Travis is like, yeah, blow everyone. And then Matt is like, how diplomatic of you.
I wouldn't blow anyone. I wouldn't trust blowjobs from a Dragonborn. Sorry, Dragonborn.
True. That seems...
It's crocodilian draws do not. They seem...
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's probably not a pleasant experience.
It feels like there's not a lot, like, I mean, I guess it depends on, like... So modern thought thinks that, a lot of modern paleontology suggests that, T-Rexes and other predatory... Most dinosaurs nowadays are thought to have lips.
Giving each other blowjobs? Okay.
No! Not that we have not found crucial fossil proof of blowjobs yet. But when my theory gets through to the Smithsonians, that'll change. When the Smithsonians finally answers my letters, that whole field will change.
Okay, stay tuned for that one. But dinosaurs have lips.
It's thought that maybe dinosaurs had lips, so they weren't just, like, exposed mouths. But they probably weren't mammalian lips. You know, they probably aren't great for blowjobs, is what I'm saying.
But he's not a dinosaur, he's a dragon.
It's our biggest reference point is, like, I don't know, I just would not put any like, if you're going to have sex with a Dragonborn, like, sure, whatever, knock yourself out, but, like, I wouldn't put
maybe not, like, yeah, the blowjob might be a little, I mean, if you feel free to risk it, but,
it also, like, sure, have fun, but, like, it does seem like, you're basically putting your junk in, like, a tin can full of nails, right?
Like a trash, and like the food, the thing you Americans have in their sink, the trash disposal.
It's not a trash compactor. Yeah,
garbage disposal. It's a garbage disposal.
The garbage disposal. Yeah. The word that I was finding was trash compactor, which is also a terrible thing to put your dick in.
Yeah. Okay, so after this, thanks Edgar.
Thanks.
My fan made a noise. Thanks for your input.
Now that we're moving on from this aside about blowjobs.
Excursion that reminds me that I once asked myself whether I really do have to check the explicit box when it came to podcast ratings.
Oh God, I wonder how much of this is going to stay in the podcast.
It is explicit. We can technically talk about whatever we want here.
Talk about dinosaur blowjobs, sure.
This is your brand. This is so extremely your brand. I can't even begin to tell you how much of your brand this is.
I don't know if I should be insulted or not. I should maybe change my life a little bit. Anyway. Sorcery points are blown.
Or whatever. And then Percy gets to kill Clarota.
He does, and it's great.
He does. With the line of, some people have no sense of fucking honor, which is a great line, and also, like, telling that this is something Percy would be upset about, huh?
Yeah. It sure is. He's not a fan of traitors, this guy.
Nope.
I also love, like, Percy doesn't actually say a lot of fuck words, I feel. He says them, but he doesn't say them a lot, which makes it so good whenever he says, like, he drops, like, a solid F-bomb.
Yeah.
It's a very cool scene. Percy gets to shoot up Clara's brain. It's awesome. They are out of spells.
Okay, so I think this is what Marisha says. We're all out of spells. Then Orion is like, except me. And then Laura's like, because I didn't help in the fight. And then Ashley's like, I abandoned my troops. So yes, girls, fucking drag him.
Get him.
Drag him.
Drag him. And by dragging him, we mean literally in that department, like physically rake him over the coals.
Please.
Yes. Vax grabs a party hat, and he stabs the one that's the one elf that's still eating Pike. Good boy.
Mm-hmm.
Pikeldan.
Pikel. I don't think it was a big enough ship to ever really get a pronunciation.
We haven't got to the pronunciation discourse. Pikeldan is real.
Picklebean.
That's cute, actually. I really like pickle bean. Pickled green beans. That's the...
Pickle bean is green. Real, and also green. Moving on.
Yes. With sneak attack, despite the fact that, like, he gets sneak attack despite the fact that nobody is currently fighting the elephant because Matt is being very generous, and so the elephant is very occupied trying to eat Pike's brain.
Yeah, I think this call is right. I think this call is fine.
I think it's a fine call. I just think that Matt is being very generous here because he would it's I'm not opposed to it. I think it's a good call. I do think that he called it specifically because he wants to get the party out of there.
Possible, yes.
Like,
well.
He basically has this very fun thing later on where, like, Pike is debating who to heal, and he just goes, like, yourself. And, like, when God tells you to heal yourself.
I would recommend, the Dungeon Master recommends, 9
out of 10 Dungeon Masters recommend.
Yes. So anyways, he does that, Pickle Bean is real, and then they'll get to go out because everybody is freed. Well, Scanlan uses Dimension Door on her, informing her that he would like to have babies with her, which, spoiler alert, they kind of do, but we're all pretty sure they were mostly raised by Percy and Vex.
Yeah, we're not happy about the fact that they had babies, and I'm pretty sure their babies aren't happy that they had babies either.
Juniper 25 and, Will handle that.
We'll handle Dan. God, we'll handle Dan. The first baby born.
Someone should have intervened.
Yeah,
someone should have just intervened.
They should have tried to, like, name the baby Will Handle Dan, and then, like, it's just like balloons descend from the ceiling, and they're like, "Congratulations, you said the magic word. You're no longer married." And like, it's just
Will
like
Handle Dan was the first person in this family to get divorced.
Yeah, I just feel like as soon as, like, you name your baby Will Handle Dan, like, that should just be, like, the safe word for your marriage, where it's just like, oh, it's actually in your prenups that, like, as soon as you say Will Handle Dan, like, you're no longer, like, you're just no fault divorced, and also we're taking the kids. None of you can, neither of you get custody.
Or, like, incidentally, I feel like the word Renesmee should work to the same effect.
Yeah, there should just be names that you name your baby, and it's just like, yay, it's over. It's done. You pulled the string. It's cool. You don't get custody of this child. It's like in the divorce, Grog gets custody.
Yes, Grog is an official part of this marriage and family, of course. And also Travis is really reluctant to take Kima until he remembers he is supposed to have a crush on her, so, like, that's a thing.
It sure is a thing.
That's a thing.
I'm so glad. In a way, I am glad that Kima is petrified for the entire episode, because, like, she doesn't have to deal with this. She could just...
Yeah,
for once in her life, she just gets to chill and not deal with Vox Machina's bullshit.
She's going to take a long vacation after this one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's gonna just, like, live under Allura's skirts for a while.
I mean, literally not, but she should.
She should, and I don't even mean that in a sexual way. I just mean, like, she just gets to hide under there. Seems like there's a lot of room. You could probably have snacks.
You're not making it better.
By suggesting that she has things to eat? No.
Anyways, where are we? Okay, yeah, so they all managed to try to climb out of the temple because even though Illithid are now coming up on the sides, like, the top route is still the best one to take. Trinket gets to fly.
Trinket gets to fly for a little bit before, Mind Blast. But, yeah, he gets to fly with Vex on top of him like a Pegasus. It's very cute. I found this to be adorable.
Yes, although it is at some point suggested that Trinket can only barely carry Vex, and if Pike goes on there too, that would be too much, which, like, no, though I do understand, like, Pike is pretty hefty. Yeah.
If it was Scanlan, I bet he could carry.
Fine.
I bet he could carry, like, at least 3/4 elves, right?
At least.
One in each arm and one on the shoulders.
And Pike then says the amazing line, "I'm great. Well, not really, but I'm going to pretend I'm happy so everyone can be okay." Which, oh
god, that's such Pike in a nutshell. And then she never stopped.
That sure is Pike. And then she kisses Scanlan on the cheek because she has nothing else to do that turn, and he gets inspiration for that.
Yeah.
And then I've copied in the lines that Bal woke me up with this morning.
I give the Elder Brain a kiss goodbye, and then he kisses Percy instead of the Elder Brain.
Vex Vax is the one we're talking about.
Right, we're talking about Vax. Vax says that he's going to give the Elder Brain a kiss goodbye. He stabs the Elder Brain and then gives Percy a kiss on the cheek? I can't remember. Maybe on the lips.
Yeah, the cheek.
The cheek. And Percy asks, Taliesin asks for inspiration, and Matt says no. He says that it could be the beginning
yet, but
of...
this might be this,
Discovery.
This might be the start of something beautiful.
And what I've written here is, no inspiration for Percy for getting a kiss on this, our Pride Month of 2022.
And also, it was Pride Month when this first happened.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah.
Our Pride Month of 2015/2022.
This is a homophobia.
This is a homophobia. Or a biphobia at the very
You know
least.
what's also homophobia?
What?
The fact that in the ads I get every 15 minutes on this, I keep getting an ad telling me to go on vacation to Hungary.
Why would you go to Hungary?
Because the ads are telling me to, but no thank you.
No thank you.
First of all, I've been there before, not really for vacation, but other reasons. I've been on Hungarian local television. Second of all, no.
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 Nope.
I mean, I guess it's slightly better than the ads that I got, which is every now and then I'll just get, like, an ad for that stupid, like, transphobic movie. Like, What is a Woman?
Oh, yeah, that one too.
I keep getting ads for that movie and I fucking hate it. Fuck that movie.
You must be really fucking desperate.
Yep. Yeah, every 15 minutes. And then...
Every 15 minutes?
Every 15 goddamn minutes there's an ad. Which goes by so quickly.
It's like one Orion turn.
You're not wrong. I have gotten ads in the middle of an Orion turn before. Then Liam O'Brien tells us to ship Percy and Vex, which, like, always makes me want to not do it spitefully. Like, even if it was something I shipped, it's like, oh, now that you've said it, I'm not gonna do it.
God, it's so... The sad thing is, I think if we watch the same campaign with the fan base we have today, people would be shipping Vax and Percy very loudly, violently, and to the detriment of everyone else involved.
Oh, I know that they are, because I've checked the Critical Role fan page for after The Legend of Vox Machina came out, and there's a lot of Persil Dan. There's also a lot of Persil Dan not safe for work fan art that's inspired by the cartoon that I've been subjected to. Not through any will of my own. I did not go looking for it. And no, it's not good. It's not good. It's pretty bad. I'll show you some later.
And yeah, sure, subject me to that as well.
Oh yeah, this is
what I deserve.
Listen, it's our friend. Like, I have to show you the terrible things that I see sometimes.
Fine. Well, let me just flash back to 2016 or something, when the fandom was still young and chill and less anime convention damaged than it is now. When you would occasionally see newbies stumble into the Tumblr tag and be like, wait, why is everyone here shipping headships? I thought we'd be shipping Percy and Vax. What? And just, no, dear.
Oh,
no.
Oh, sweet young thing.
We actually have good stories here.
Yeah.
With female characters who get development. You don't have to ship the two prettiest boys for the aesthetics. We have real ships that actually have narrative relevance and are well executed. The plural is applied liberally, but real ships. Canon ships.
And these relationships develop. Like, nowadays, if you want to ship personal data as exposed to the campaign 2, it's going to be very hard to ship it as, like, a very wholesome ship. You can ship it as a hate-fucking ship, or you can ship it as a Percy and a corpse, I guess?
Percy really getting into some fungi stuff.
Yes.
Yes. I'm gonna fuck the fungus who fucked up my wedding.
God, don't do that. Never do that. Never fuck a fungus that's fucked up your wedding.
Like, not to be, like, demeaning anyone, but the thing is, I've recently made the discovery that it is apparently very rare to be into a thing just for the story and for what is actually canon, rather than for shipping the characters that are most visually appealing to you.
Yeah, it's something that I've been trying to, like, distance myself from, just because I find it to be, like, very... I don't know, like, I think that there's, like... This is also part of, like, I want to say that this is more prevalent with sort of slash ships and basically it's the same exact thing as yaoi fandom. But you actually also see
that's
this
basically
with,
the justification people give you for always writing out the female characters in anime fandoms because, they're poorly written and don't get any development anyway, so let's just ship the boys. Which I take issue with. Just do it yourself, you cowards. I mean... Also, or just be like plain obvious that you are really, really into shipping some boys, which may not always be for wholesome reasons. We don't need to have wholesome reasons for ships. Just ship what appeals to you. Yes,
yeah, be brave.
But don't try to moralize about it and tell me, it's just because the female characters are never written well. Because I've seen you do it in stuff where the female characters are written well. So
yeah, and if we're going full scorched earth on this and salting the fields, I will say that try. Because I feel like most people nowadays, I'm not saying that all female characters are well written these days, but the amount of people that I've talked to who have just gotten nothing from Keyleth or Vex or Pike or other female characters, and just it's when you actually talk to them, you realize that they've never actually tried to read into any of these characters. And
God, remember this semi-viral video during the Legends of Vox Machina airing that read we were wrong about Keyleth, and yep, no, my dude, my guy,
you were wrong about Keyleth.
That was a you thing.
It's how we're gonna have a bunch of trigger warning. We were wrong about Amber Heard videos in a couple of years, and it's no, you were wrong about Amber Heard.
Well, now you've punched the hornet's nest, but to be, we're going to tag the name, but if we would have the most engagement out of anything, because the bots just show up to yell lies at you whenever you mention that name, no matter where.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, I feel like it's very blatant when you have actually well-written characters, but it's very clear that people just don't have the incentive personally to engage with.
Yeah, people just don't seem to care about female characters in general, except for us a few who are here and do this podcast and have Vex Defense Squad meetings. And,
though I will say, being part of the Lock Tomb fandom, in other fandoms that are more femme/based, I do get to see some equality there of people who come from very different fields and being and try and be oh my god, this ship is so problematic. And it's yeah, you're reading.
Oh god, is it the Ketradora phenomenon when people were but isn't this incest?
Yes, it is. It's very much it is.
Sure.
People who came straight out of the Shira and the Princesses of Power and being wait a minute. These girls are very aggressive towards each other. And it's yeah. And this is, we're not joking when we say enemies to friends. We are quite serious about it.
Anyways, we have a Critical Role episode to talk about. Speaking of stuff after Scanlan brings down the temple with Bigby's hand while they're all escaping and making a brain squirt, which Love Eternal phrased that, and forces the healing potion down Pike's throat. We actually get the prequel to the half-chub, because Orion makes very sure that he notices it when Vex does some really cool shooting on that brain, which, thanks for that. This is what we need.
Yes, this is exactly what we asked for.
God. No wonder we try to kick the fandom hornet nest instead of talking about this.
Yes.
Keyleth then does some water bending to the brain and tries to suck the water out of it, which sort of works, sort of doesn't.
You can tell the moments where Marisha is very influenced by Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh yeah.
This is one of them, and I actually kind of love it.
And I mean, I will say it should have worked better than it did, because it is all water in the end.
Yeah, though I do actually think, I agree with Matt's call, which is I would probably allow it to happen, but would say that the damage isn't as much as you'd hope, which is basically what he did.
Yeah, so the 3d6 is fine. 3d6 dehydration damage.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Which is a reminder to all of you to stay hydrated. Woo!
Stay hydrated. She also makes a fun joke that I liked where she talks about he's going to have a hell of a hangover in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Which...
Yet another reminder to stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated. But yeah, it's fun. You've written here the words ew, 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 ew. Oh yeah, no, sorry, we already talked about the ew, ew,
I've already been
ew.
over that. We are past that.
Sorry.
We are way past that.
My bad. We've already ewed. I'm trying.
We've already ewed.
Try my best.
We are again bitching about Orion because he throws a fireball and manages to roll a 40 on 8d6.
It's mathematically possible. It's just
Yes.
It's just suspicious.
Improbable.
It's improbable. I mean, like, I wouldn't. The thing is, like, I wouldn't judge this if somebody else said that it was, but just because we have the established, like, we know that he, like, isn't the most forthcoming about his roles, it makes everything more suspicious.
Yep. We're almost out of the Underdark.
Almost out of the Underdark. So Scanlan turns into a pterodactyl.
Yes, and grabs Pike. Laura is wearing the Trinket Hand puppet as a head out of stress, the same way her husband vanishes into his shirt sometimes. And then Vex and Trinket, who are flying through the air, are mind blasted. And then Matt keeps referring to Trinket as a her, which gets Laura very offended.
Yeah, this part is actually very cute to me because I think in a different episode or maybe in a Q&A he's mentioned that he does it so much because like they'd learned around then that Dagon, who they thought originally was a boy parrot, is now a girl parrot, so they got into the habit of like regendering.
Yeah, I remember that too. Rest in peace, Dagon. Same brain cell.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little cute to think of, is that he's just used to calling something he thought originally was they're transitioning their parrot.
Yes.
Yes.
So Laura says, Trinket's a boy. If he's about to die, at least get his gender right. Which
I guess
2015, we were so wise.
Sure. I guess don't misgender bears, I suppose. Sure. So Keyleth casts the kid killer spell, and like I also had like a moment of just like, don't, because what she does with it is that she ties a vine around Trinket in a way that I actually really liked how Matt described it. He described it as like coming out of like the weave of the flying carpet and becoming into like a sort of a vine with the same pattern as the flying carpet, which is pretty.
So now we know that the carpet is made of all natural fiber.
It's biodegradable. Yes, and it works actually. It does not cut Trinket in half.
They don't even mention that this is how Keyleth killed a kid before.
They don't even joke about it. Good for Keyleth.
No.
She doesn't have any.
We had to make the joke.
We do. Well, it's kind of calling it like, tell me you didn't cringe when that happened.
I literally wrote it down as the kid killer spell, so yeah. Yeah.
It also seems to me like it could happen with a lot more damage with a bear and a person on top of that bear than a kid. Just because, like, it's a lot of weight. The weight
don't even put that out
funky.
there. Just, this works, it's cute, it's fine. No need to think about how horribly wrong this could have gotten.
Yes.
Gone.
Siggles.
Whatever. So, yeah, before all of this, Tiberius, who did cast Fly on the party, which, thanks, did what he does best and got the fuck out of Dodge, leading to him starting the sigils for teleportation on the beach, on the island, in the forest with the Underdark. Foreshadowing.
Yes.
He gets started on the teleportation circle early, and then we do some really gracious dungeon mastering, and that everyone makes it through the teleportation circle just in time, and we're the fuck out of the Underdark.
Yay! We're finally done with the Underdark.
Woo!
God, let's never come back here ever again.
And it's just, there's whiplash in how they go from this really intense fight and flight scene to dealing with bureaucracy.
Yeah, I found this to be kind of cute. Like, the bureaucracy thing is kind of cute. I don't know, something about how Matt does this bureaucrat is very adorable to me.
Yeah, it is. And it's just, they don't even take a break here, just in like a few minutes later. And it's just so, immediate. Everything is so immediately, violently different.
Yes, they're just in this place in the middle of the night. There's nobody here. There's this one guy who's
in a white stone chamber.
Yeah. Foreshadowing for the chamber of Whitestone. Whitestone chamber, chamber of Whitestone. Whitestone chamber, chamber of Whitestone. But yes, they are here in the middle of this Lyceum, I think is what it's called.
Yes, they're basically in like the train station for teleportation circles.
Yes, except it's
called the Traverse Junction.
It's a combination of like
like a private airport.
Yeah, like a private airport, like a TSA office. Like when you're doing like an interview and you're like, "Why are you here? Here's my papers. Everything is good." Like business or pleasure.
Yeah. So they don't know where they are. They're just in a random white stone room. And then start immediately strategizing about what to do with Kima and the horn again. until they realize, we don't know where we are, just in Iman somewhere. Maybe
Yeah,
this isn't the
originally,
place.
they think that they're in their own house, and then Matt's like, no, you don't have a teleportation circle in your house. Which, oh boy. Ain't that just the thing?
I mean, does it end up mattering ever at all? Nope. Just not. It
so
just
they go
doesn't.
out. I think Vax sneaks out and like immediately encounters like just a desk clerk.
Yeah, just an old wizard who does a graveyard shift at this Traverse Junction in the Lyceum.
Mm-hmm.
Is Uriel an emperor at this point? Is he an emperor?
I think so.
Is he a king?
I mean,
Emperor sounded wrong to me, but
they don't usually
Uriel?
call him emperor. They usually call him. Is it monarch? It's like a word. It's like a word that kind of like I'm trying to think of. Sovereign. They call him sovereign.
Right, sovereign.
Yeah, it's not monarch. It's sovereign. It's like a word that like it neatly avoids the term emperor.
Somebody threw out there that the next time EXU does like a historical thing, Laura should play the first girl boss who made Tal'Dorei her empire.
Yeah. The original Tal'Dorei?
Yes.
Yes, I'm into that.
Me too.
Yeah, so they talk to him. He agrees that like it's in the middle of the night. Well, agrees after seeing the pterodactyl turn into a person and then like be told that the bear doesn't turn back. It's just a bear. He tells them to come back in the morning and basically explain their reasoning. They use a little bit of clout to smooth the way forward.
Well, they try to use clout. He doesn't really believe them.
Despite the fact that, like, Vex rolls really well.
Yeah.
I think it just, like, is lost a little bit because everyone's talking all at once, but, like, Vex does a really good convince.
Yeah, like a 25, which she first thinks is a 35.
And then she's like, that's physically impossible.
Mm-hmm. And then Scanlan casts friend on this dude who works at the Magic Academy, which is a wonderful, like, Matt could have turned this into such a thing, but he didn't, and I'm glad.
He didn't. He didn't even roll, he didn't have him, like, roll, I think he may have had him roll for it, like, behind the desk, but, like...
I think Matt just ignored this.
Yeah, he just ignored this, which is, like, honestly, good call. Like, this is...
Yeah,
this could have
we
been
don't need
such
this
bullshit.
right now.
This could have been such Mighty Nine bullshit. Mighty Nine sounds, take a drink.
Anyway, so Vox Machina gets out of the Lyceum, and as soon as they come out and see, like, the night sky and ground, Keyleth kisses the ground and then points out at the stars, and it's like, I feel this.
Oh, yeah.
This is how we too feel now that we're finally out of the Underdark. God.
Yeah, this is also how it felt, like, the first time I saw the moon in quarantine. I was like, oh, I haven't seen the moon in so long.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, I had a period of time where I was, like, just sitting on the balcony, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen the moon in, like, a couple of months now. And, yeah, it was nice.
The moon
this
keeps
is how we
rudely
feel.
shining through my bedroom window when I try to sleep, so, couldn't be me.
Oh, yeah, in this apartment it too shines through the window. That's why we keep sending each other moon pics.
We do!
But
we're gross.
We're so gross. But yes, I do feel that. We've been, like, a solid year in the Underdark, and, like,
Yeah, they actually
we're free.
negotiate this with their employees later on. Employees, they're the employers. When they're like, oh, you've been gone for like a week, and everyone is like, it felt like 11 weeks at least.
Yeah, and then she's like, it's like 2 weeks. So, like, it's a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And then they just decide that,
yeah, before
well,
that,
we have money.
They talk about the moon, and I'm like, I think we're early enough in the world building that Exandria doesn't have 2 moons yet.
It's possible. Though, I never am sure if this was already a thing, and Matt just never wanted to correct them, because, like, the other moon is, like, very, like, hard to see.
I mean, apparently it's something special when it's out, and then you get born, and then it's fun, and then people kill you or something. Campaign 3 spoilers! Maybe.
Yay! Possibly. But yes, right now they're just describing it as moon singular.
Hey moon,
and
please forget to fall down.
So they talk a little bit about possibly de-stoning Kima before going, hey, wait a minute, we've got money, we've got the cursed horn.
You've got a lot of bling and a cursed horn, the sky is the limit.
Let's go on a pub crawl. And they go on a pub crawl with a stone Kima.
Yeah, who they don't stuff into the bag of holding, they just take her around on a pub crawl.
They put a robe over her to make her look like Weekend at Bernie's.
Right. Yeah. Laura points out how messed up this is, which, yes, everybody else is just like, well, but she doesn't have a sense of humor, and, like, she wouldn't do this with us, and it's like, oh,
I doubt it. I will say that I actually noticed something that Laura does in this episode that I appreciate, where she like kind of like mellows out the group whenever like the jokes go too far.
She does that a lot, actually.
Yeah, she's got like this one thing where I think like Grog and Scanlan make kind of a gross joke at some point, and she just goes like, hey, hey, hey. And I was like, oh, I appreciate that. I'm glad that somebody...
She does this frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she does dirty jokes, but when the jokes go like... Remember also she was the only one to oppose when Grog beats up a spectral cow?
Yeah.
Something of literally no consequence, but just like, doing that as a person makes you worse, kind of? You know? Like in the movie you recommended that Sam's wife did the cinematography for?
Yeah, like, doing something without, like, it's not Oasis Springs, it's Palm Springs.
Right,
Palm Springs.
right. Good, excellent movie. Groundhog Day done right.
Yeah, actually, like, as opposed to the real-life Groundhog Day, which I found to be not very good. But,
yeah.
Sorry, a controversial point, but I just found it to be kind of empty. But, yeah, I really liked Palm Springs. It's like Groundhog Day, but like, hey, turns out the bad things you do, it reflects poorly on you, even if they have no consequence.
And Sam's wife helped make it, so, like,
we
can totally plug it here, it's tangentially related.
Yes.
Anyways.
It goes directly into my interpretation of Vex as the mom friend, but not, like, in the way that people think of Pike as the mom friend. But whereas, like...
Pike is not the mom friend. Pike is the drunk aunt friend who enables all your shit.
Whereas, like, Vex is the mom friend in that, like, she's kind of busy and doing other stuff, but, like, when she comes in, she's like, why is your room a mess? Come on. Like, take that out of your mouth. Everybody behave, or so help me God, I will turn this car around.
Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so now they actually do go on a break.
Yay!
A little bit too late, but it feels like, but they do go on a break, which is when you can watch the uncensored character intros, if you feel like it.
For some reason, as though we haven't watched them enough.
Mm-hmm. When they return from the break, everyone gets to hold the Horn of Orcus.
Yeah, they skip right past sort of doing the pub crawl, they just kind of go to the end of it, which I personally think is a good idea.
Oh yeah. I mean, it also is 3 a.m. and as Matt points out, there's not much, like, to do at this pub crawl now.
As he's mentioned, all of the fun people are unconscious, and like now it's just the sad people left. Like, what is I can't remember what the quote is, but like nothing good happens after 4 a.m.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and then they get to Grayskull Keep, which you can tell they named before they had to worry about trademarks.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yep. And the person on guard duty actually rhymes when they come up. It's kind of cute.
He rhymes?
She. And
she
yes, rhymes? I should have written down the line, but it did rhyme, and I wrote down that it rhymes, and it was like not Shayna. That's my half orc. Sharina or something.
Something like that.
I mean, okay, so. Every single NPC we meet at this keep is adorable, lovely.
Adorable.
We really like them.
Doomed.
But I think except for Jared, they all will not ever matter.
No,
again,
which makes me sad.
Ever.
Some of them will die. Some of them will die.
Probably, yes.
But like, as far as I remember,
just parked a dragon on this house and then it is irrelevant.
Yeah, they have like a cook who immediately starts making them dinner even though it's like 4 a.m. She's very sweet. They have like an old man who's there for reasons, I'm sure.
I think he's like a custodian who just like keeps things in check or something.
I don't know. I figured that he was just sort of like their old man. Like he's just here to be he's here for ambiance.
Yeah. Jared is here and he's not a cop.
Yeah, even though I don't think he actually shows up very much.
Not here yet. He's important later.
Yeah, they just mention him because everyone thinks he's so hot that they can't stop talking about him.
Yeah.
Like, is that Jared? Is that Jared? No, that's not Jared. Is that Jared?
Yeah, and when their cook asks them about the statue they're holding around, it's like, Laura's like, we decided to get a statue for the garden. And then Taliesin chimes in, a garden gnome. To which Sam says, I take offense to that.
This is
Taliesin says, I hope so.
Such fun shenanigans. This is cute.
They're slightly unhinged drunk, which is good, which is the energy after something like this.
Yes. They then have like a mostly serious conversation about like, hey, did we start a war?
Yeah, before that, Scanlan turns Tiberius into a rat, and Tiberius goes to bed and just is not in the scene, except for that he sort of is because Vex picks him up and scritches him.
Yeah.
Which is a really cute moment where he like scritches a sleeping rat and then is like, oh, he's having a happy dream, his leg is twitching. Oh, you're dreaming about so many magical artifacts, aren't you?
He's so much better as a rat. There's also like a fun
He
bit of
agrees,
physical
actually.
comedy where they try to wake, like, Grog says that he wakes him up and he, like, minds taking him from Vax and, like, shaking him around, like the dead parrot in the dead parrot sketch that I made you watch.
Yeah.
But it's very fun. There's also the
is.
implication that Tiberius is a furry, I guess?
Later in the scene, he says, I like being furry, and it's like, thanks, Orion, things we needed to know about you.
Needed to know about you. But it does lead to a cute
I mean,
thing.
the point is, technically Keyleth agrees with him. The point is that apparently it's very comfortable to sleep as a furry animal.
Yeah, which, like, Keyleth chimes in on it is actually much cuter, where she's just like, it's so comfortable, like, sleeping as a big free animal. And, like, you know what? I believe it. It does seem very comfortable.
Yeah, she even offers, like, when she turns into Minx, she naps in front of the fireplace that Red Tiberius can join her.
It's cute. She's a She's a cutie.
Yeah. Yeah, she is.
Anyway.
Then they have the discussion about how maybe they started a war with the Illithid, but, like, as Kima will tell them later on, no.
No. Cryhammer can
really
defend
care.
itself.
God. Okay. Side note. The thing, I am so grateful that we put this whole Underdark business behind us before, the whole Out of the Abyss module was published with all the Underdark in it.
Oh no. Why is that?
Matt probably got inspired by it for some aspects of campaign 2, but fun story. Exactly from watching this video today of the episode, I discovered a small-ish YouTube channel. I say smallish, but, like, he has a few thousand subscribers, which is a few thousand more than we do, who, like, rapidly explains official modules, and the Out of the Abyss module is so goddamn unhinged, and I looked into it, and it just has traveling rules for the Underdark and stuff, and this sounds like, if you run this with rules as written, sounds like such a dredge. Just the worst. Just roll on this encounter, have random encounter, people are pursuing you, you're escaping slavery, and weird shit keeps happening, and everything, it's so... And for 15 levels, 15 levels, you do not get to see daylight.
God, you should just fully have a breakdown at that point. You go 15 levels without any daylight.
There's mechanics for that. You have to keep rolling on the insanity table. I think they keep expecting you to die and be replaced by somebody somewhat more sane, which is so sad. But also, this is also a way where you just raise a completely feral party who will never be able to live in any other environment, and like...
Yeah. I feel like if you spend 15 levels in, like, the Underdark, you should, like, turn... Like, what are those, like, ohms? I think they're called ohms. They're, like, those, like, cave salamanders that have no eyes and are just white and noodly. Like, that's what you should turn into after 15 levels in the Underdark. You should, like, lose your eyes and, like, turn into, like, a little golem creature.
Yeah, or, like, in one of these giant fungi thingy. So glad we didn't do anything related to that. We just got the purple worm later. Adorably referred to as Murder Noodle.
I'm gonna send you a picture of an ohm. I'm gonna send you ohm pics. Anyway.
Yeah, so I really prefer these more short-term adventure.
I agree.
Oh, that's just an axolotl.
It's an axolotl without eyes. An axolotl has eyes.
True, that's a little weird.
Yeah, and it's weirdly noodly. Like, an axolotl has, like, a shape. This is just kind of a string bean. And also, sometimes it looks like weirdly...
It looks like a baby gator snake in an axolotl costume. Ugh, that is bad.
Sometimes they look... When they're closer to the surface, they look a little phallic.
They look like the whale penises.
Yeah, they do.
Poke up out of the water.
Yeah, this is what you should look like after you come out of 15 levels in the Underdark.
The Underdark turns you into whale dicks. You heard it here first, folks.
Yes. Anyway, where were we at?
So, still inebriated, they try to make out, are these Underdark things a danger? And the answer is no, they only care about the Underdark. Which is also something, by the way, that this module reinforces, because there's just an entire society of things who just want to make the Underdark better. It's like...
Make the Underdark good again?
Yeah, like, take care of weird shit happening in the Underdark, and just... Nobody down there has any interest in the surface, because they just have an entire world down there. Which, cool. Which is also, like, as we have previously determined, mind flayers don't like the sunlight, thus they wouldn't really do well on the surface.
Yeah.
Same as Durgar. Thus, whatever Kvarn was planning on, like, wow, I would have gotten you far.
Sure. I mean, like, maybe he's gonna invest in, like, a lot of parasols. A lot of sunscreen. Do you think Illithid Freckle?
In what color?
I don't know. I was thinking, like, would they go darker or pinker? Like, would they be, like, because they're dark
Would they
purple.
burn?
Well, I'm sure they'd burn, but, like, after they burn, would they freckle? Would they tan?
I don't know. I do not know.
What color would they turn? Would they turn, like, kind of dusty purple or, like, a plum? Or would they, like, turn pink, like a mango? Anyway.
Interesting. Let us know your opinions on this subject in the comments, or on the
so
Twitter,
close.
or in any other way that boosts engagement.
So close to the end. We did release the mind flayers from their evil dictator. Yeah, they seemed super grateful.
Yeah, they're working out the situation. Like, Vax also claims that Clarota lied through his noodles, which he told you no lies.
Yeah, there's also
He was just very open in his phrasing.
Where they're about to, like, de-stone Kima. And I found this to be very fun from Matt's point of view, even though this scene... Like, they were gonna make Grog all handsome and fancy to, like, seduce Kima. And, like...
That is way later.
Oh, this is way later. I thought this was when they were de-stoning her.
No. Oh, sweet summer child. No. They first talk in circles for like half an hour while still inebriated about whether or not to do that.
That's true. They had to do that for a very long time.
And then they did it again at breakfast after they are slightly less inebriated.
Yeah. Their main thought was, like, again, they go kind of gaslighty in this, where they're like, we'll take the, like, she doesn't know how long she's been stoned, so we'll just tell her, like, oh, we just got out, and, we don't have the horn here. And then they have to argue about, like, what kind of secret, like, what will they tell her? Will they say that they lost the horn? Because she's not going to be happy about that. Do they just tell her that they're hiding the horn?
We'll get to that when we get to it, but yeah, the entire bit is just like... Okay, so what I really liked about this first part of the planning sessions, which we're still at, is that Pike asks the question, so why are you guys against giving the horn to Kima?
Good question.
Finally asking why are we mistrusting here? Then they try to get answers from Tiberius, who is a rat, and starts nipping. And point out that he hasn't told them anything and they haven't really talked to him in a week. And then he proceeds to tell them nothing except for Hornbat, which... Thank you. And he takes about the time it takes him to take his turn in combat to come to that very basic point of horn bad.
Horn bad. We shouldn't let people have horn.
Yeah, and then also what he seems to be very confused about what they're actually talking about. Because he says, like, the way it was set up in the Underdark, if they wanted to destroy the horn, they could have with all the magma there. And, like, the horn was on the Beholder. And the Beholder sure didn't want to destroy the horn. That was kind of the point.
And the
Kima
Beholder...
never had access to... Yeah.
was in the temple, and the temple was in the Elephant City, and the Elephant City was in a lake, and the Elephant Lake was in the Underdark, and
You skipped like 3 verses in there, but sure.
Hey, the Underdark, the Underdark.
Is this before or after we insert this song into the episode?
Good question. Anyway,
yeah, and then Tiberius is also like that Pike could destroy this, which Pike is a level 8 or 9 cleric. My dude, my guy. She is, against all evidence to the contrary, not a god. You might be thinking of Jester.
Possibly.
Yes. And then he's trying to Pokemon type chart this, telling us like that this could be this, and that could be that. He gets it wrong too, because like, yeah, sure, fire can burn earth. You could also bury a fire, and ground type is actually strong against fire type who is weak to it, and it's a mess, and not how D&D works.
Yes, also that makes a lot more sense to me, because, like, you could totally smother a fire. So that's actually what they have on, like, if you go to, like, camping sites, they have, like, a little Smokey the Bear sign. The specific thing that they say is, like, I think they say, like, smother and churn, which is, like, first you cover the fire in water, and then you, like, take a stick and you literally, churn the fire pit to make sure that it's, completely smothered out. Like, you make a mud pile.
Okay.
Yeah. So, dirt will definitely smother a fire.
Sure. Okay. And then there's, then Percy points out in the conversation, after they've worked out that there's literally no reason to distrust Kima at this point, that there's no reason necessarily to not trust them. Who them is, who knows? They also, like, come up with a plan of having Allura come over first and asking her whether Kima is trustworthy. And
she's not gonna be thrilled.
Imagine Allura walking in on them with a stoned Kima that they've taken on a pub crawl and put in a rope, and then they're like, hey, so Allura, we picked this up for you, but do you really think we can trust it?
She's gonna be pissed.
God, like, yeah, good thing Kima got to travel on so quickly after this, or otherwise Allura's relationship to Vox Machina would have been severely damaged.
Yes.
Also, Tiberius seems to think Allura is a sorceress, which, like, no.
She's not. She is not. She is not a charisma caster.
Yeah, so they barely have a plan, decide to go to bed, wake up, and then immediately resume the conversation about the plan they do not have.
God, this is such Vox Machina stuff. Is like going to bed and then waking up and continuing the argument.
Yeah, and then they just finally decide on unstoning Kima now, because if she and Allura side against them, that would be bad.
Because,
really, but fine.
Duh. Why haven't you thought her out already? Oh my god, you guys.
They point Kima at a wall, they send Grog with the horn to the temple, sounds like the song again, where he holds a holy oil vial just as a moral support or something, it's cute.
Yes.
Tiberius, meanwhile, just takes 500 gold out of the treasury without asking anyone and takes us to the teleportation circle home, like, just bye.
Bye!
He just does that and everyone's like, okay.
I still don't understand why he was doing that, like, what was the point of it, but sure.
He bought a bag of holding so he could carry his own mending wheel. He also robbed the party because those 500 gold weren't negotiated and he didn't even know whether they were in the treasury. Whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Kima comes out of her petrification and is just a nice and reasonable person who thanks them for taking the time to rescue her.
Yeah, and she comes out of it, like, fully thinking she's still in combat, so, like, you know, pretty impressive that she's able to thank them.
Yeah, she just chills out immediately and eats and is, like, so thankful, and also, they kind of fumble the plan immediately by asking the question wrong about, well, no, we do have the horn, it is in a safe location, and, like...
They're so bad at this!
They're so bad at this, and also this entire plan of being like, okay, like, this is the plan. They act like the horn is, like, lost or destroyed or elsewhere, not, like, beyond their reach. And then they ask Kima what she hypothetically would have done with the horn had they actually acquired it. And if they like her answer, then they're like, surprise, we actually have the horn. And if they don't, they're going to try to find a way to destroy it without involving her.
Yes.
Which...
I honestly think that, like, at this point in time, Kima is so tired and hungry and disgusting that, like, none of this is actually registering anymore.
She doesn't even have the energy to be offended by this.
I don't even think that she has the energy to, like, have it fully sink in. I feel like they're just talking to her, and she's just like, yeah. Okay. There's food?
Okay.
And then it's like, like, imagine it again. Let's return to the thought exercise from a few episodes ago and put ourselves in Kima's shoes. You just woke up in the middle of combat, and, like, combat's over, you're at a stranger's house, they tell you that they don't have the horn, but yes they do, but it's not here.
But it's totally safe, so safe, absolutely safe.
And then one of them comes in and it's like, surprise, we actually do have the horn. Like, none of this is registering.
No. And if she had any mental capacity to not be in a constant state of, okay, I just have to survive these assholes, she would have immediately seen through this very obvious ploy. Like, come on.
But she's so tired.
Just hypothetically asking for a friend, if it turns out we actually did have the horn, what would you hypothetically like to do with it? This is totally not a test.
Yes. Let's say in theory that I lost my car keys, and I know that I should have been home by 9, but, like, I was... And I'm not saying this happened, but, like, if it did, would you be mad at me?
Is this also a little bit like going to your parents as a teenager being like, hey, I'm pregnant. And now that we got that shock out of the way, I'm actually not pregnant. I just, like, scratched the car a bit. But imagine how much worse it could be.
Yeah. Something I've never done before, but, like, I know has, you know, like, I've definitely done, like, the sort of, like, coming to the parents and being like, okay, that seems bad.
Hypothetically.
But let me walk it back a little.
Friend.
let's walk in.
Remember that you love me so much.
Yeah. Aren't you happy that I didn't crash the car? Anyway, I did get a ticket.
Yeah. There's also like a bit where Vex rolls an inside check on Kima and Matt gives her a very long whisper. And they've said before that Matt usually just says something like, everything's fine, you notice nothing, just make this look suspicious or whatever. And I'm pretty sure that what he whispers here is like, she is completely earnest and kind of exasperated with all of you being idiots.
Yeah. He's just whispering in her ear like, please be nice to me. This is just... Like, I'm trying my best here. I don't know why you guys are so adamant about trusting Lilithids, but not Kima.
Yeah. Like, they do butter her up by being, oh, you were right, we were wrong, Dorota actually tried to fuck us over, which,
and
yeah.
She's like, and you know, in her defense, like, I feel like she's actually pretty gracious about this. She just
has no capacity at this point.
Yeah, she's so tired.
Just fully done. She will get a little smug about it later, but for now she is just fully done.
Yeah, and nothing makes it more, like, blatant to me how much, like, this is very much, like, Matt's first, like, not for you NPC than Grog coming in all fancy dressed up, and Matt just describes her as, like eating mashed potatoes with her hands.
Which, to be fair, would be very appealing to Grog, I feel.
It would be, but, like, it's very much him just saying, like, listen,
not the time and the place now.
Not the time and the place. Like, she's not absorbing this, my guy. Even if she was attracted to men, she's not in the place right now.
She is not. She does a hug Grog, and everybody makes fun of him being friend-zoned, which, like, you guys aren't even really on your way to being friends with her yet. You're on the please not get me murdered zone.
Yes. Let's work our way up to friend zone, shall we?
Yes. I mean, I think they immediately established that Kima and Allura have, like, a thing going on next episode, which is the one good thing Orion ever did for the stream.
Yeah, that's true.
And isn't that something to look forward to? Because now we are done with this episode.
Yeah, that's pretty much the end.
Woo!
I mean, I guess there's,
and the Underdark! We are so done with the Underdark!
I mean, they do open gifts and, like, have a whole thing,
whatever.
but, like, we already talked about that.
Watch it on your own time.
Yes. We're out of the Underdark!
Woo!
Woo!
Are we going to celebrate it in song? Maybe, depending on how that turns out.
So, let's rate this bad boy. So, let us go
now
into...
let's come to the Purvan Scale.
Our
a joke.
beautiful... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah? Get it out of your system.
Our beautiful, exuberant, luscious, its hair is curly and beautiful, its skin is exfoliated, Purvan Scale.
A joke that is going to make sense to a lot more people now.
Yeah.
Because Purvan showed up in person as a party pooper for like 5 minutes. Yeah. God, I will have so much to say about the Raven Queen in the future, but not here, because we are on this Purvan Scale, which in this universe will make sense in 30 episodes. Oh, God.
Oh, God. Anyway, the P in Purvan Scale stands for pizzazz.
Ugh.
I mean, I do want to give a point for Trinket hand puppet, because it is cute.
It was from the last episode, though.
That's true. It's still here, so I guess we don't give it, like, additional scores for things that have already been established. So, can you think of anything pizzazzy?
No, actually, I think this is just a 0.
Okay. Not applicable.
Okay. Woo.
Now you do the next letter, my dear.
U is for uncomfortableness.
I think we have to dock a few.
Not that many, because the uncomfortable moments we had went by really quick and weren't really like a focus. Nobody really hit on Kima. The jokes or the comments Tiberius may or may not have made about hypothetical boners were only were only implied and not that direct, and everybody else graciously ignored them.
Unlike the next one, which will come as like a fucking thudding blow to the chest. But we don't need to deal with that yet.
No. We're far away from that. The one joke I put in the warnings about sexual assault is like also real quick and mostly just, and you kind of don't even notice it.
Yeah, though I will say that, like, the Orion-ness of this episode is really grating. Like, he's really hard to ignore this episode, just like in the last one.
Like, I'd knock 1.5 points for this.
Yeah, 1.5 points seems really right.
Okay, so we're at -1.5. Your turn.
The next letter in Purvan is R for role-playing realness. I actually think they did a pretty good job this episode. They stayed mostly in character. There were a few funny character things. Percy's still on fire.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was really a lot that happened there, but they did roleplay very cutely with their staff and stuff.
Yeah, they did a fun pub crawl, though I think that's more nonsense.
Yeah.
I liked some things. I liked the sort of the introduction of the staff. So I will. I want to give it a point.
Sure, point is fine by me.
Yeah. Okay.
Not very roleplay heavy.
No, it's mostly combat.
Yeah, fine. Is it my turn?
Yeah, your turn. We don't have a guess.
V is for vexiness. I mean, she had like a few okay-ish moments, but like nothing that stood out much.
I liked her sort of like with trinket shenanigans. I thought that was cute, but like there's not a huge amount of it.
You want to give it half a point?
Yeah, half a point seems really reasonable.
So we're at 0. Easy maths.
Easy maths. Reverse maths.
No, actually, not reverse right now. We reversed it first. We're just like moving our way up again.
Yes, we're doing real math. The next letter in Purvan is A for action. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I'm inclined to give it like a point. Like, the action scene was a little overpowering this episode. Like, we could have gotten to much more fun stuff if they just hauled ass out of there faster, but it was actually... I will say you feel the urgency of the combat, and it is very viscerally described. The brain slurping is an actual threat, so are the brain blasts, and all the humiliating things they do to this brain is, it's solid. It's not as good as the last episode, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's not as bad. It's not as fun as the last episode, but I do want to give some credit to like some of the decisions Matt made on the fly, especially in terms of like
too.
Sometimes you want to make choices. Like it is completely valid to change decisions on the fly and change the campaign on the fly to sort of allow for a better escape. And I think that in this time he actually did like a couple of really gracious like balancing things, like making sure that I really like what he did with the brain and the control water, for example, because I feel like that's a great way to sort of allow the player to do something fun, but isn't game-breaking.
I also liked how he made some certain decisions just to keep the combat moving and the sense of urgency up. Yeah. So it was well handled. It was a decent enough to watch combat. A little long at times because you have to accomplish like 2 things at the same time, and
it did.
Also, we just kind of long to be out of here.
Yeah, we just want to be out. So it did kind of grate after a while. So I want to like give it 2 points and then subtract maybe a point.
So we're at 1 point.
We're at 1 point.
That feels warranted.
Okay. And the last letter in Purvan.
N is for 9 cents. Which I feel like if we had gone any more into it, the whole taking a petrified woman to a pub crawl in a very mean-spirited way would qualify for.
Yeah, but luckily they only kind of very loosely describe it rather than spending the whole night there.
We glossed over that.
Yeah, so it is very 9 centsy, but it's not. It's we
didn't lose runtime to it.
Yes, and I don't know. I did enjoy.
It didn't derail much.
It didn't derail much. So, do we want to give it a positive or a negative?
I want to give like nothing.
Okay, let's give it nothing.
Nothing! Meaning this episode gets 1 whole point.
Yay! Believe it or not, that's pretty good for it. I was expecting this to get a negative score.
This is pretty good, but it does feel anticlimactic considering how we, like, actually enjoyed this episode.
So. I found this to be, like, the enjoyable parts of this episode were really enjoyable, but not amazing, and the unenjoyable parts were really unenjoyable, but luckily they weren't overwhelming. Yeah. So it was kind of like a mixed
This episode
bag.
is a good one to just put on in the background, I feel. Like, you get some cool combat scenes out of it, some neat role-playing moments later on. It's just not... You don't really miss much. You can just put it on in the background.
Yeah, I will say the apartment while watching this.
Yeah, I will say that when we watched episode 11 last time, which was in February or something, back in the black hole part of the year. I was actually so into the episode that I kept watching, and that's when I watched episodes 13 to I think 20 something. Wow. Yeah, I think I tuned out by the time I got to the trial of the take. The second part of it, for reasons. But actually, this is kind of where the story picks up and where it becomes really, really enjoyable.
Yeah, we're almost at the really fun part, guys.
Almost halfway there.
Halfway there. But also, in general, things just start to look up from here, even if you don't get to the really, really fun part. Like, things are just gonna start to, like, pick up speed and not to be quite as much of a drag.
It's just so much more fun.
Yes. So... It's
so much more fun not to be stuck in a hole in the ground.
I think that's the takeaway of this episode. It's like, just, it's fun to not be in a hole anymore.
Is that just our opinion for the episode?
Maybe.
I mean, it's either that or don't misgender bears. Especially when you want to kill them.
I don't know. I feel like hole in the ground is a little bit more appropriate since this is the episode where we're finally out of the Underdark.
Mm-hmm.
So our opinion for this episode is get out of that hole in the ground that you're in.
Yeah. Most things are more fun than being stuck in a hole in the ground.
Yes.
Yes. Okay then.
Thank you very much to Lafia for our art.
Thanks to Current Sun for our music.
Thank you to our patrons, and for you for listening.
All you listeners, remember to do all the things people on YouTube and elsewhere, and not YouTube, keep telling you to do. Like, comment, subscribe, recommend, rate, thumbs up, share, reblog, retweet, tell people about us, or don't. We're not the boss of you, but like, if you did any of this would totally help us. We'd be so grateful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, goodbye.
Bye.
Row, row the Underdark, we're almost out of the Underdark. Row, row the Underdark, fuck right off with the Underdark. And in the dark, there was a lake, a dark lake, a creepy lake, a lake down in the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, we're almost out of the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, fuck right off with the Underdark. And in that lake, there was an island, a dark island, a creepy island. And the island and the lake down in the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, we're almost out of the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, fuck right off with the Underdark. And on that island, there was a forest, a dark forest, a fungal forest, and the forest on the island, and the island, and the lake down in the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, we're almost out of the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, fuck right off with the Underdark. And in that forest, there was a city, a dark city, an illithid city. And the city and the forest on the island, and the lake down in the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, we're almost out of the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, fuck right off with the Underdark. And in that city, there was a ziggurat, a dark ziggurat, a creepy ziggurat. And the ziggurat in the city, and the forest on the island, and the lake down in the Underdark. Row, row the Underdark, we're almost out of the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, fuck right off with the Underdark. And on that ziggurat, there was a temple, a dark temple, a creepy temple. And the temple and the ziggurat and the city and the forest on the island, and the lake down in the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, we're almost out of the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, fuck right off with the Underdark. And in that temple, there was a beholder, a dark beholder, a creepy beholder. And the beholder and the temple and the ziggurat and the city and the forest on the island, and the lake down in the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, we're almost out of the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, fuck right off with the Underdark. And on that beholder, there was a horn, a dark horn, an orca's horn. And the horn and the beholder, and the temple and the ziggurat and the city and the forest on the island, and the lake down in the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, we're almost out of the Underdark. Oh, row the Underdark, fuck right off with the Underdark.